are welcome to this session. It is session 1 of Unit 4 of Methods of Teaching Chemistry. This unit is about the various domains in which we can write instructional objectives, and we are going to look at 3 of them: the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. This very section is looking at the cognitive domain, and in it we'll be discussing the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, which has to do with the cognitive domain. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain what the following objectives under the cognitive domain require of students. A. Knowledge objectives. B. Comprehension objectives. C. Application objectives. And finally, analysis objectives. Cognitive domain. This domain represents behavior that is related to knowledge or mental processes. There are 6 major levels of categories involved in this domain, and this is a work by Bloom. The levels are knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So let's look at the knowledge level, and it is at the base of Bloom's classification, where we may have a lot of learners operating. At this level, we expect students to recall, recognize, memorize definitions, facts, and specifics. If you are stating objectives to reflect this level, then you may have an example as: by the end of the lesson, the student will be able to identify, arrange, define, list, tell, recall, etc. Let's look at the understanding. So we are moving up, and at the understanding level, students are to show understanding of facts, principles, and interpretation of materials. And here, an objective will be like: by the end of the lesson, the student will be able to explain, describe, rephrase, interpret, etc. Let's look at application. Here, the students are to be able to apply a rule, theory, or principle to new context, or use previous understanding to solve new problems. They are to apply their knowledge, they are to apply their previous understanding in solving problems. And here, if you are stating objective to reflect application, then you may have an example like: by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to apply, change, solve, compute, demonstrate, etc. These are action words that we use to state objectives at the application level. Let's look at analysis. And here, the students are required to see patterns, break down an idea or materials into component parts, and to show the relationships among parts. An objective will be like: by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to analyze, appraise, break down, calculate, categorize, etc. These are action verbs that you can use. And then we have the synthesis, to be able to synthesize, to put together. And here, we expect students to be able to bring parts together to form a new whole material. Objectives for synthesis, or objectives to reflect the synthesis level, will be like: by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to arrange, assemble, categorize, collect, combine, comply, compose, construct, create, design, etc. And here also, these are action verbs that you can use to state objectives at the synthesis level. You may come across certain action verbs that may run through some of the levels. Don't be confused about them. We have the evaluation, and at the evaluation level, students are required to make judgments about a material or method using some standards or criteria to bring about informed decisions. And here also, if you want to state objective to reflect this level, then you may use action verbs such as appraise, argue, assess, attach, choose, compare. For example, by the end of the lesson, the student should be able to compare and contrast. They should be able to attach. They should be able to assess. They should be able to appraise, argue, etc. Now, whenever you are stating instructional objectives, make sure that you don't limit your objectives if you have more than one to state. You don't limit it to just one level. Make sure that we have more than one of the levels present. We are ending this session with self-assessment questions. I urge you to try them.